Thursday is upon us, and this is going to be our final video update here on YouTube for the incoming severe threat this evening. We'll have additional briefings at 3 o'clock today, as well as live coverage beginning around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight for this severe weather threat. But before we get all into the gritty details here of the updates and changes to the forecast, I want to first start the video by giving a shout out to our sponsor, Katz Roofing and Siding. They are based out of Lansing, and as their name suggests, they do roofing and siding as well as window and gutter needs across the Lansing area. Thank you to Katz for being our sponsor today here at MSC and being the spotlight sponsor for our YouTube page today. Their number is 517-485-9886. So the update here, the enhanced risk in orange, level 3 out of a scale of 5, was extended all the way over to Monroe County now, Ann Arbor included, all the way up here towards Shiawassee County, all the way up to about Mount Pleasant to about the Manistee area. It's a pretty large enhanced risk now, but outside that to the east, a pretty large slight risk continues to be in place there in yellow, level 2 out of 5. And then in the dark green, that's your marginal risk. It's a low end risk, level 1 out of 5. So low risk up here, we'll call like a medium type of risk here in yellow. The highest risk tonight is going to be found in orange areas. Hazards have changed since yesterday's video. We're going to start with wind, go to hail, and then tornadoes. So number 1, wind. They did match our forecast yesterday. We put a hatch out there. They did not. They ended up putting a hatch out here for significant wind gusts. So anywhere in that red and black hatched area, we could see wind gusts above 75 miles per hour. We could have a couple destructive severe thunderstorms tonight in that west and south Michigan area as a line of storms pushes in off the Lake Michigan. That's your highest concern tonight. Over here in yellow, still a concern for severe winds here in that yellow zone. The entire state really has a probability risk of severe wind tonight, but the highest risk definitely in red. And then that risk continues in yellow here, which I'll show you guys on the radar, what it looks like pushing across the state, but a little bit lower over there just because instability does kind of weaken as the night goes on, but a risk still exists nonetheless. Large hail. Same exact parameters as yesterday. We have a large hatched area of west and south Michigan there for hail that may exceed 2 inches in diameter. So that's larger than golf ball, larger than a hen egg. We could be looking at baseball type hail tonight as well. Would not be shocked to see a couple baseball hail reports tonight in West Michigan. The entire state finds itself within a probability risk for hail, highest here in red, and then second highest in yellow, and then lowest out here in that dark red brown color. The probabilities, I did not go over those, but I'll touch on them very briefly here. For both wind and hail, the dark brown red color is 5 to 14% chance of seeing severe hail within a 25 mile point. The yellow zone is a 15 to 29% chance of seeing a large hailstone within a 25 mile point. And the red zone is a 30 to 44% chance of seeing a large hailstone within a 25 mile point, and that also applies with the wind graphic as well. Same exact probabilities for each color here. All right. Last but not least, they did make a change here to the risk for a tornado. We have a 10 to 14% hatched area across the I-94 corridor. If you guys caught yesterday's video, we really keyed in on this section of Michigan for a tornado risk, and as such, the SPC also honing in on that area. We'll talk about it again here in just a few minutes, but they went ahead and put a 10% hatch probability. So what that means is the hatching suggests that we could have a couple strong tornadoes tonight across that corridor or around that corridor. So if you are in Southwest Michigan, I would be on high alert tonight after the 8 to 9 p.m. time frame. All hazards are possible, as well as significant hazards. All right. Outside of that yellow, again, yellow is 10 to 14% chance of seeing a tornado within a 25 mile point. The red brown color up here is a 5 to 9% chance of seeing a tornado within a 25 mile point. And then the 2% up here, 2 to 4% in green, extends the entirety of the state minus Houghton and Sault Ste. Marie areas. You guys do not have any risk for a tornado according to the SPC. But again, highest risk there definitely in red and especially yellow colors. So that is your breakdown of the SPC outlook. Now let's go ahead and dive into the future forecasted radar. This is the HRRR. We're going to stick with it today. I think it has a pretty good handle. Previous events, it really hasn't had a good handle, but this time around, I believe it does. Let's walk you guys through. Today, Thursday, will be warm and muggy out there, but through the day, through the morning, through the afternoon, through the early evening, we're dry. The model has no storms popping up in Michigan today until we get past that sunset time frame. So, backing this up, we're going to walk through hour by hour here. Current time as I'm making this video on your screen, 9:22. Again, this is not live. I am pre-recording this. So 9:22 is current time as I'm making the video. You guys are probably going to see it closer to 10, 11, 12, or perhaps beyond that. So here's 10 a.m. today, Thursday. Here's 11. Here's noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Notice those storms are starting to push toward the UP here at 6. Here's 7. Still not arrived. By 8 o'clock, our first raindrops way up here in the western part of the UP could be falling. All right, let's go to 9 p.m. 9 p.m. we have storms beginning to arrive down here close to Berrien, perhaps Van Buren and Allegan counties. Have to watch that closely. This line up here begins to weaken just a tad bit for that western part of the UP, but still a very potent line forecasted to move in there. So here's 9 p.m. Let's go to 10 p.m. Here's 10 p.m. We have storm arrival here across West Michigan, as well as a good chunk of western UP, as well as central UP. 11 p.m. here. That line continues to race eastward here. Here's midnight, reaching the Lansing area, Ober-Lansing area, reaching the Flint area, Mount Pleasant, Tri-Cities, Gaylord, Wolverine, those areas up here toward Ewan as well. 1 a.m., that line has now exited Lansing area and now moved into Detroit, Lapeer County. Let's talk about Cass City, the Thumb areas. Up here toward Alpena, about to get slammed here around that 1 to 2 a.m. time frame as well. Here's 2 a.m., and by about that 2 a.m. time frame, that is when the bulk of the worst of the line is moving out of the state into Canada. And by 3 a.m., we're just left with some scattered showers across portions of far eastern lower Michigan. So backing it all up, first arrival time could be as early as 7 or 8 o'clock tonight across the western UP. This model suggests 9 p.m. or after for the southwest corner of lower Michigan. So we're going to say rough time frame here beginning as early as 7 p.m. and it should be out of the state by 3 or 4 in the morning. So a good 6-7 hour threat here for the evening hours. We're likely going to be live the entirety of the event, but that is just your timing. What about hazards and the ingredients to go into this? So I want to point out two things here. Number one, the models are really trying to depict the UP kind of weakening in nature. So perhaps not as high of a concern up there as initially thought, which could be a good sign there. And that's mainly because the lack of instability. Looking at your storm fuel here, we're going to pop this bad boy on your screen. The storm fuel up in the UP is much lower in comparison to down here across the lower part of Michigan. This is at 10 p.m., by the way. But notice how you have a little bit of it up here. This is your surface instability, your storm fuel on the surface, but there's not a lot. Further south, though, this is what we're going to talk about here. We talked yesterday, we have about 1,000 joules as our baseline to look for severe weather. And we have 1,000 or higher across much of lower Michigan here at 10 p.m. I want to draw your attention very closely to that southwest corner of the state here by Kalamazoo. We have 2,000 to 3,000 joules of surface fuel for these storms. So again, 1,000 is what we kind of look for or higher. We have double to triple that, so plenty of instability out there. But as we move into the evening hours, overnight hours, that does shift into the eastern part of the state. Notice we still have a good corridor here of 1,000 joules or so of CAPE up here by the Tri-Cities, down here by the Ann Arbor, Lenawee, Adrian, Monroe areas. You guys still have a good corridor there of storm fuel as this line pushes across the state. Back this up here, overlap the instability with wind shear. We get supercell composite. We have parameters here. Typically want to see about 4 or 5 or higher. We have 4 or 5 or higher across much of that lower part of Michigan. Even parts up here in the northern part of lower Michigan get in on a good environment as well. But Do take note that southwest corner, once again, highlighting that region for the best potential for severe weather. So watching that very closely. Flip that over to the tornado parameters. We still have a higher end environment there across southwest Michigan. So there's not a lot missing here for that particular corner. And that does, again, progress eastward as the night progresses into that very far east and south corner of the state there before it pushes out of the state. So overall, the environment forecasted is very strong in nature, in particular for that southwest corner of the state. And as such, we do have the model here depicting we could have some rotation storms tonight. This is a rotational tracker. I don't believe I've used this on a video before, but I'll use it tonight. We do have what we call helicity swaths, basically a measure of spin in the atmosphere. We have a lot of areas here across the southern part of the state that do get in on some rotation here according to this model. So we're going to watch this very closely tonight because we think that there could be a really good threat. All hazards, but also for that tornado threat in particular, we're really honed in on the same corner the SPC is down there across South and West Michigan. All right. A couple of quick bullet points to talk about here. Number one, the cap is weaker in nature. I would not expect the cap to become a concern as we talked about yesterday. I don't anticipate the cap limiting storms tonight. It should break or weaken enough that storms should become surface-based and pose an all hazards risk. So when all of this put together there, make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings tonight. Make sure you guys are staying tuned in. This is going to be an overnight type of event, so many people are going to be sleeping. It's a good idea. If you have friends and family, give them a text. We could have incoming severe weather across the state tonight. Make sure you guys have ways to stay alert, to get warnings, and make sure you have your severe weather plans in place in the event you have to take shelter. All right. With that said, schedule for today. Joel will have a forecast update on our graphics out at 1 p.m. Also, 2 p.m. we'll have a forecast out for potential storms tomorrow, which is Friday. And then at 3 p.m., a live update briefing. Joel and I will have a full forecast update for you guys at 3 p.m. And then beyond that, we're going to be looking at talking about chasers' positions and our plan for the evening. And of course, live coverage will begin around the 7 or 8 o'clock time frame tonight as these storms arrive in the state of Michigan. With that being said, you guys stay safe. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys later here on a briefing and likely coverage tonight for severe weather as this line crosses the state of Michigan.